Madam Chair. I did declare an interest as a member of Felixstowe Town Council, and I think it's important that the public appreciate that I am a member of Felixstowe Town Council, and I'm afraid what I'm about to say is very parochial, but nevertheless I think it needs to be said. I do appreciate the need for a housing development in Felixstowe area, especially that of truly affordable homes. That is, homes that our young people can afford to buy or rent, whether that just be, as we understand, affordable homes or social housing. But I certainly cannot support the volume that's being proposed in this document. I'm disappointed, very disappointed, that this council is proposing that the lion's share of the district's new housing proposals, as described in this document, is going to be developed in the Felixstowe area, in the Felixstowe Peninsula. This would amount to a further 2,000 homes in addition to the 1,790 new homes already planned for the area in the original local plan. I find it absolutely perverse that, having refused the awful Canglet Road development of some 560 homes on very sound planning grounds, and subsequently robustly defended that decision at a public inquiry, which was controversially lost, yet here we are being asked to approve the development of the Garden neighbourhood in the same vicinity north of Felixstowe, which will not only encompass the Canglet Road site, but will deliver nearly three times the volume of housing, together with leisure and employment opportunities. This volume of development would, in my opinion, require a sizable inward migration into the area. Where will these new residents find employment? It can no longer be assumed that the increased growth at the Port of Felixstowe will result in the commensurate increase in employment opportunities. Automated systems being introduced across the port enable it to remain competitive, but it also means less jobs. Where will their children go to school? I understand that there will be an increase in primary school provision. That will be catered for, but I've heard from a reliable source that the secondary school provision is simply just not enough. Doctors and dental surgeries are already under considerable pressure to meet the needs of the existing community. It will mean the loss of beautiful countryside enjoyed by many for recreational pursuits, the loss of important natural habitats, valuable agricultural land, and given the uncertainty hanging over our future at the moment, that could be becoming incredibly important. The strain on the local roads, already under considerable stress, and the local infrastructure will be immense. I have a mantra, based on a decision adopted by the local development task group many years ago at the Orwell Hotel in Felixstowe, which said something like that each community in the district would be allowed to develop to meet its own organic growth. That any development should, wherever possible, use brownfield sites and should avoid the use of good quality agricultural land. I firmly believe that the volume of development we are now faced with should be spread across all of the areas of the district, adhering to that sentiment. There are many villages across our district that would benefit from additional housing, helping them to become sustainable and indeed preserving village life. The provision of affordable rural housing would mean that younger people would not have to move away from their villages to find accommodation. Indeed, in a report from the East Anglian Daily Times, dated 21st of November 2018, they quoted the Country Land and Business Association, claiming that 53 villages in Suffolk Coastal were in danger of becoming fossilised, and the provision of such housing, together with other entities, would go a long way to stem that trend. The new leisure centre. Obviously, the provision of a state-of-the-art leisure centre would be welcomed by any community, and yes, the existing facilities in Felixstowe are tired. However, I don't believe that the suggested site for the proposed new centre is the correct one. Contrary to statements in the revised local plan, it would not be easily accessible to many of the town's residents, and it would again mean the loss of valuable agricultural land. Although out of my patch, I would like to comment on Innocence Lane. The importance of the Port of Felixstowe to the whole of the area will never be underestimated. It's a very important economic driver. All efforts should be
Sorry to
made.
interrupt you, Councillor.
Can I just wind this up because
Yes,
it
please.
is quite important. All efforts should be made by local authorities to help maintain its leading edge in what is always a very challenging commercial environment. That said, it should not be at the expense of local communities, and frankly, I cannot think of a more unsuitable site for the provision of a logistics park to support the port. The proposal has been met with very hostile reception by the villages of Curtin, Trimley and St Martin, and I am not convinced of its actual need. However, if such a provision is required, there must be more suitable sites. There are already plans in existence for a very large complex to be built along the Port of Felixstowe Road. This scheme, approved some 4 years ago, has not materialised. At much the same time, the dock company unveiled plans to build similar facilities on the dock estate. Yeah, okay, I am. And as far as I'm aware, still nothing has happened. Surely such a provision of such importance as one of these sites would be operational by now. It does seem to me that in offering this site, the landowner has done very little or doesn't care of the impact it will have on the local environment.
Hello, welcome to, this really is the land that's being proposed in North Walton for a master plan development apparently of 2,000 dwellings plus other features. It's come about because the council failed to defend its previous local plan against any development of all the land between here and Cadlet Road, which was implicit in the Felixstowe master plan that stated this land and all this space around us was to be the green lungs of the urban community of Walton and Felixstowe. Now today I've got the only councillor who actually questioned the adoption of the local plan and then stated his view on what was being proposed. So, good afternoon,
good afternoon.
Councillor Deacon.
Thank you very much
for
for inviting me.
Well, thank you for attending.
Can I just say what a beautiful late January afternoon it is?
Well, we're lucky, aren't we?
Yeah,
It was
very
snow
lucky.
this time last year, I
It
think.
was.
You know, the beast
Yeah.
from the east was about to hit us.
As you rightly said, many years ago,
Yes.
the District Council promoted a master plan for the whole of the town. It was called the Lock Report, and it was published, I forget how many years ago.
I think it was in
15,
2005,
so,
I think it was.
Anyway, this
I think,
land...
Michael, it was £1,000 from regional government that paid for it all.
Well, you
And
tell
we-
me that.
Yeah, and we in Chelmsford were the only two towns in this area that actually were funded to that extent. So it was a
Okay.
very significant document.
Yeah, but this piece of land was identified as being a very, very valuable piece of countryside that should be preserved.
Absolutely.
Preserved for the benefit not only of the residents of Felixstowe and Walton, but also for the tourists that come and visit our town. So they saw the very, very attractive countryside around here, together with the beach and all the usual sort of resort features, that was a very valuable asset to this town.
Indeed. It gives you more than a single offer.
Absolutely.
But equally,
Can I just add to that? It's also very valuable to the people who use this as a leisure facility. Because I can go on and on and on. It is such a valuable piece of land.
but in addition to that, of course, this land is some of the most productive that
Yep.
we have in Suffolk.
Yeah.
So we don't know what the future will bring, but one would assume we will need to continue perhaps to be more efficient at feeding ourselves than we have been in the past.
Part of my argument has always been...
Could I just borrow that
Yeah,
from
sure.
you? I was just going to open up to the page. There's something I wanted to raise with you specifically. Yes?
As I was saying, I think, especially the mess that we are getting ourselves into at the moment,
Yes.
that good quality agricultural land etc., and not too far away from here In fact, just over and behind the houses that you can see there
Right.
is probably the best quality agricultural land in the whole of Suffolk Coastal District.
Which is quite remarkable.
It is. It's grade 1
Yeah.
agricultural land.
I believe that's also true at Innocents Lane, is it not?
I
The
don't
land there, I believe,
I
is
really
also.
can't tell you that.
But there was something within the policy we're talking about is policy SCLP 12.3, or you could call it SCLP 123, which is easier to remember, and it's it's called the North Felixstowe Garden Neighbourhood. Well, really, it's North Walton. And I don't quite know what the garden reference is, but it would appear that's the flavour of the month. Ipswich has got it, Saxon got it, and it seems to make it supposedly more acceptable to those who question it, perhaps.
I would suggest we have got a very nice garden here in our town already.
And you don't really need to do much with it, do you? Now, the thing that I was amazed at, I looked at, in this particular bit, there's a whole stack of things going from A to N, lots of provision. We won't be able to go through all of that, but there's a provision of a 630 primary school spaces. Now, do you realise that's a school of 20 classrooms?
It's going to be fairly large.
That is massive. I mean, I'm not sure on the size of the classrooms of the schools we already have, but there's nothing coming near to that. So are they actually looking for this primary school here to replace the one that will be impacted and become not really usable by the children at Trimley St Martin? I mean, is that a part of this?
The Curtain Road primary
Yes.
school, you mean? That is my very real fear, that becomes untenable.
Because I cannot see this is justified, that size of primary school,
Without that.
for a population of 200,000 dwellings. So,
200,000, sorry. I think
well, 2,000 dwellings,
Yeah.
which is a population, I think they're talking about 2.2, so you're talking about 4,000 plus, aren't you?
Yeah.
And what I find very, very concerning, you agree, but looking at the consents already given, looking at the first local plan, looking at this plan, what I think we could both say is the historic community of Walton that's been in existence since before Roman times will actually not have a single field or green space that is not a recreational space within our community at all. They will all be built upon. Because if we look at the new academy, that broke into the land behind Walton, which is now being populated with dwellings. The road across where the Tesco's was going to go, that's still to come forward as a planning site. So can you point to me anywhere between the Dock Feeder Road and Garrison Lane where we will actually have some green space, other than a recreation?
I cannot. I genuinely cannot do so.
Now that cannot be good for our community.
Can I make a point here and now, though?
Yes, if you would.
I have been opposed to this scale of development for a long time now. In fact, I've campaigned, I guess, for about 15 years now
Yes.
to try and prevent the overdevelopment of our town. But what I will say very clearly is we do need houses for our young folk,
Yes, we
our
do.
young people. Houses that they can truly afford.
Or can afford to rent.
Or can afford to rent. I would even go as far, not only should they be so-called affordable homes, but they should be socially provided homes,
So
which
really-
gives them a proper tenure and security as well as comfort.
Couldn't agree more. Okay, so there was a final point I wanted to raise with you. It sort of came into the mind and went out again.
Right.
No it doesn't. You may recall there was a meeting called when this whole new scheme of planning came on. And there was a meeting called at Walton Community Hall.
Yep, I remember.
At
it well.
which we had more than 150 odd people locked outside. Can you remember or confirm that the decision made by the town councillors, a lot of which are still serving, that what was wanted by Felixstowe Town Council was organic growth with brownfield sites developed first, and this blob, do you remember that was the day of the blob
Yeah,
design?
blobs on
This
maps.
particular blob was removed.
Yep, I remember it well. In fact,
So
business
where
all-
did that policy go that was agreed?
It's just been conveniently forgotten, because that is the point I tried to make at the meeting last week. I'm quite happy for any community to develop to meet its organic needs.
Right.
And I really do not see that the proposals that we have in front of us now for Felixstowe, it goes over and above that. We're going to need to import a lot of people, they're going to have to migrate into the town, there's going to already on train. You've already mentioned school places, the academy.
Yes.
I've heard it argued that it's simply the provision for secondary education is simply not enough for that volume of homes, which was very definitely put down when the meeting was discussed in Felixstowe. I cannot stress enough though that we do need affordable homes for our
Yes, we do.
families.
But we need, actually what we need is housing that reflects the housing need of the whole community.
Yes.
Because one thing that I've been making
Is that
a
not
big
organic
point,
growth?
well, yes it is, but there was a point made by one of the councillors who said that Felixstowe has always been growing, and the last lot was Cavendish Park in Orwell Green. I would agree with that. But the difference here is, in those days, long ago, that was led and developed by Felixstowe Urban District Council, and it was actually related to the housing need of the population that was there and the future population. So it was a bottom-up process, and it was an organic process. What we're now having, it strikes me, and a couple of the councillors made this point at the meeting, was it's now a top-down and it's a diktat from Westminster. So where do you, as a local councillor in local authority government, how do you represent the community that actually elects you?
With great difficulty now because of central government.
Yeah.
They have completely, in my opinion, neutered local government.
Right.
We are not the force we used to be, and it's a huge shame because we can only represent our communities.
Well, I think that point right. Well, and the rain is coming. So thank you very much for coming.
Thank you.
And what we'll do is we'll post the actual complete statement on this wonderful landscape. And that will, so it'll be a complete report, and we will add it to the meeting that took place yesterday. Okay. So thank you very much.
Okay, thank you.
We'll see you the next time. So closing the report here on Gopher Road with land that's at threat, with a community that's looking to have at least 3,000 dwellings actually imposed upon them in a period of what, 25 years or so. Bye bye.